We enter 2018 marking a decade of reporting our Service and Sacrifice series focused on East Tennessee veterans. In 2008, one of our first stories focused on a Marine from Blount County and the impact an overseas deployment had on his family. Tonight, we revisit the Eichhorn family 10 years later.
Oh, look at him.
Watching a story about their family that dates back a full decade stirs familiar emotions for this mom and her daughters.
Oh, buddy.
Back in 2008, one of the first stories in our series about East Tennessee veterans focused on Blount County Marine Tim Eichhorn and the imprint his 9-month combat deployment made on his family.
It was my 12th birthday, and that was pretty not cool.
Honestly, I was shocked because your dad's leaving for 9 months. That's hard to believe.
Our interview with daughters Caroline and Catherine came a full 2 years after they welcomed their dad home safely from his tour in Iraq.
That's me coming through the McGee-Tyson gate.
But even after that warm homecoming, both daughters could still recall vividly the winter day their dad told them he was headed to war.
We had gone to go ring bells outside of West Town Mall that day, and then we went to Chick-fil-A for dinner.
And then we came home, we were sitting around the kitchen table, and he just told us, and I was like in shock, basically.
A decade later, the tears well quickly once again.
I mean, it's funny just to see that, the emotions are all still there. Same thoughts, same reaction to it. Just 10 years later, a bit more life experience, obviously, from when I was 13.
But back then, son Blake, at age 11, helped underline why his dad's deployment made such an impression. What were you worried about?
Everything. It's interesting to see him so upset 2 years later. I'm surprised by that. But it does show how much they loved him.
And compounding their uncertainty was the reality that Beth's father, also a military man, was killed in Vietnam.
It was real to them that it is possible.
The first couple months, I was in complete shock, and I was crazy. I was acting up at home. My grades slipped. I was crazy, out of control. And Mom started taking me to a psychologist, and that really helped me.
Prayer, God, first and foremost. That's where I think I got my strength.
Then, like now, many of the National Guard and Reserve troops from bases around East Tennessee deployed to dangerous parts of the world in small numbers. Here, typically, it isn't hundreds of troops, but a couple of dozen or even a handful at any given time headed into harm's way.
When you're a reserve family, you feel very isolated. The kids would come and go to school, and no one, had any idea really what emotionally they were dealing with.
We had moved on, but to hear the kids with that imprint still being so loud for them, that was an aha moment.
And the impact of that single deployment would help shape his family to this day. You were pretty emotional when we last spoke.
As per usual.
Caroline found her calling serving in an outdoor leadership program in the Smokies, then on to an orphanage in Honduras. And now at age 24, she balances a marketing job with volunteer work.
My love for people stems from my dad, for sure. If there's anything I've learned, just love people well and roll with the punches.
I went to the Naval Academy after I graduated from high school.
And post-graduation with her fellow midshipman, Catherine not only married a Marine, she too joined the Corps.
For me, it brought back all the lessons learned from Dad, and just watching, his story growing up. I was like, yeah, I guess I want to be a part of that too. Just the service to others and just always putting other people in front of yourselves, it makes everything work out for the better.
Watching their dad as an example of service to others, that's what I just can't get over, and the fact that they both said that, just living for the people around you.
And remember Blake, who spoke so directly about missing his dad? What helped the most?
just talking to him on the phone and getting his letters.
I joined the Marine Corps and I love it, some days more than others.
Now, age 21, Blake calls his dad's combat deployment the most influential 9 months of his young life.
Well, I know before he left, Dad told me that he was doing it because that's what he felt was right. And that's something that I kind of always took to heart. I don't know that I've ever told Dad thank you, but it definitely had a huge impact on my life. And I thank him a lot.
I need a blue 6. Come on, somebody.
The Eichhorns represent military families across our community and our country. They endure the burdens of that life, but also call the chance to serve others and a cause greater than themselves a blessing. And a bit later tonight, you'll be able to watch that original story with the Eichhorns and the one you just saw on our website, WBIR.com, in the Service and Sacrifice section.